Namaskar my dear students, I am KG Kapoor. Welcome to Industrial Safety and Fire Safety Management class. In this class, you will learn about self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA and the PPE, which is one of the important subjects of firefighting appliances and personal protective equipment covered in week 7 of the course. The subject has been indexed into overview, introduction, statutory requirement, SCBA, type of SCBA, conditions requiring respiratory protection, limitations of use of SCBA, donning and doping of SCBA, maintenance of SCBA, other personal protective equipment for firefighting, limitations of structures gears, inspection of personal protective equipment, training of personal protective equipment, and finally summary, and we will giving some references. Personal protective equipment are PPEs, any safety equipment that is worn to prevent injury in workplace when engineering and administrative controls are not feasible or not being implemented. Employers must assess the workplace, eliminate and reduce the hazards. Employer must provide PPE when necessary by region of hazards encountered that are capable of causing injury or impairment. PPE are no substitute for engineering control, work practices and are administrative controls. At best, PPE creates a barrier between the hazard and worker contact. They do not eliminate the hazard, so if the equipment fails, then exposure occurs. For this reason, they must be worn always to provide protection despite other safety devices and controls. A self-contained breathing apparatus is respiratory system extremely vulnerable. Fire department must have a mask rule, wear and use self-contained breathing apparatus in immediate danger to life and health atmosphere. SCBA necessary even during exterior defensive operations. Failure to use the SCBA properly can also result in injury or death. Large volumes of smoke require the use of SCBA even for exterior operations, as shown here at a tire storage facilities. Any inhaled toxic gas can directly cause disease of lung tissues. 1 in 12 firefighters is injured in the line of duty each year. The smoke inhalation occurs for 18% of facilities. 21% of fire ground injuries are due to non-use of SCBA or due to smoke and other fire-related complications. A statutory requirement is there for use of SCBA. A regular fire service was first established in Bombay in 1803, followed by Calcutta in 1822 and Delhi 1867 and Madras in 1908. Fire services in India came under the 12th schedule of Constitution of India under the provisions of Article 243W of the Constitution, the performance of functions listed under the domain of municipalities. The Factory Act and State Factory Rules, the Section 38 of the Factory Act 1948 emphasizes the obligations of the occupier, which include to adopt all practicable measures to prevent the outbreak and spread of fire, to provide safe means of escape, to maintain the firefighting equipment properly, and to familiarize all the workers with the means of escape during fire and train them in steps to be taken in a fire accident. The Section 37 of the Factory Act is for prevention of explosion hazard. As shown in Figure 1, a self-contained breathing apparatus is a device worn to provide breathable air in environment with oxygen deficiency, smoke, dangerous gases, and other airborne contaminants that may be otherwise dangerous to breathe. Workers handling hazardous materials or operating in contaminated zones are typically required to wear a self-contained breathing apparatus. only positive pressure self-contained breathing apparatus are recommended for entry into atmosphere that are immediately dangerous to life and health, IDLH conditions. The SCBA typically consists of a face mask with a hose that connect to an air source worn by the user. The air source can be a tank of compressed air, compressed oxygen, or an oxygen generating chemicals. A self-contained breathing apparatus can be broken down into escape only or entry and escape. Escape only self-contained breathing apparatus are frequently continuous flow devices with hood that can be donned to provide immediate emergency protection. The employers should provide and ensure that employees carry an escape SCBA where such emergency protections may be necessary. Entry and escape SCBA respirators give workers unauthorized access to nearly all portions of the work site, but decrease worker mobility, particularly in confined areas, due to both the bulk and weight of the unit. The usage is particularly advised when dealing with unidentified and unquantified airborne contamination. There are two types of entry and escape SCBAs, open circuit and closed circuit. In an open circuit supplied air respirators, normally called SARs, also called airline respirators, air is exhaled directly into the ambient atmosphere. They are commonly used for confined space hazardous material handling. In a closed circuit devices, exhaled air is recycled by using an alkaline scrubber to remove the carbon dioxide and replacing the consumed oxygen with oxygen from a solid, liquid or gaseous source. They cannot be used for long duration. Air supply range from 30 minutes to 4 hours. Most common use is during hazardous material incidents. It contains a cylinder, filter system, regulator and valves. There are certain conditions that require a respiratory protection systems. They are further elaborated here under. One of them is the oxygen deficient environment. Fire consumes oxygen. It produces toxic gases. It displaces or dilutes oxygens. Oxygen concentration below 19.5% are oxygen deficient atmospheres. Its effect on human body is muscular impairment, mental confusion and death. A oxygen present available in the environment and there are certain symptoms that there is deficiency in the oxygens. If it is 21% oxygen present in the atmosphere, then it is normal condition and body will be very happy and there will not be any stress on the body and there will have no effect on the body. If oxygen present or available is 19.5%, then also identify this as a oxygen deficient environment. If it is 17%, then there will be some muscular impairment, increased respiratory rate, and if it is 12%, further below 12%, it is a danger mark, then there will be dizziness, there will be headache and there will be rhetic fatigue, and further if it goes down 9%, there will be unconsciousness. In case it goes to 7 to 6%, there will be immediate danger to death and life that will be within a few minutes. Other conditions requiring use of respiratory protection is the elevated temperature. The respiratory system is sensitive to temperature and the air temperature as low as -160°F can cause death within 1 minute. Inhaling gases will cause pulmonary edema, asphyxiations, long-term damage. Then temperature and structure fire reach to 1000°F and one unprotected breath will cause death to or severe damage to respiratory system. Other condition require respiratory protection is the smoke. Smoke is the result of unburnt product of combustion, particles of carbon, tar and associated gases. Large amount of gases due to use of plastics. Smoke is generated due to large amount of gases caused due to fire in the plastics, and inhalation of a small amount may be fatal. 4 causes of damage due to smoke are asphyxiations, chemical irritations, chemical asphyxiations, any combination of these. Effect of toxic gases and toxic environment are the combustion product toxic gases and irritants affect short and long-term health. When combustion products combine may form lethal toxins. Some common gases affect circulatory system and commercial occupancies may produce additional toxins. They require higher level of protections. As shown in the table given below, the different gases, the toxic effect, how they are produced and what are their limitations for IDLH conditions in ppm. Carbon dioxide displaces oxygen, is produced due to free burning, and IDLH ppm is 40,000. Carbon monoxide also displaces oxygen, is produced by incomplete combustions, and in case its concentration in the air comes to 1500 ppm, then IDLH conditions are generated. Hydrogen chloride is more dangerous and it is a respiratory irritant, and it is produced by polyvinyl chloride and furnishing, and if its concentration is 50 ppm or more, then IDLH conditions in the environment are generated. Nitrogen dioxide is a pulmonary irritant, is produced by fabrics, cellulose nitrate, and if ppm of 20 or more is produced in the environment, then IDLH conditions are generated. Now, there is limitations of use of self-contained breathing apparatus. We should understand limitations to use unit effectively and safely. Limitations of SCBA unit itself are size, weight and air supply. Then physiological limitations of the user. There may be a small user, a weak user, he cannot use a bulky and having a more weight of a self-contained breathing apparatus. Then self-contained breathing apparatus design and size itself a limitation. Self-contained breathing apparatus units and the weight and bulk to ppe. Self-contained breathing apparatus cylinder consume more quickly than length of the time rated for. Limit advance into building and more frequent crew rotations. Other concerns are restricted visibility, aided weight and bulk, firefighters' voice muffed, limited air quantity. Other limitations of self-contained breathing apparatus are for the user. If user is physical, mental, emotional state that cause usage problems. The physical limitations is the aided weight and the bulk. Then psychological limitations, lack of confidence in SCBA unit, physical stress and anxiety. The emotional conditions are other limitations for use of self-contained breathing apparatus. Air supply management is another constraint for use of self-contained breathing apparatus. We must understand air consumption rate, individual point of no return if once he enters the danger zone. Heads up display, then we should follow 10-10 rule. 10-10 rule is that while taking decisions for use of SCBA, we should consider, we should decide what will happen after 10 seconds, what will happen after 10 minutes, and what will happen after 10 years. So based on this rule, we should decide to use self-contained breathing apparatus. The method of breathing takes experimentation on the part of the firefighters. They use normal breath and exhale slowly. Never hold breath. Controlled breathing is most efficient use of air. This is most important part on the part of the user of a self-contained breathing apparatus. Most common drowning procedure for the self-contained breathing apparatus is seat-mounted position in the apparatus, the side compartment on the apparatus, a storage case. Now refer to manufacturer's instructions, general considerations, operational safety checks must be performed, conducted on a daily or the regular basis immediately prior to using the self-contained breathing apparatus. Now another method of the donning of SCBA is the storage case. The storage case has the two bifurcations, two methods to don the unit, over the head and coat. The choice is a matter of personal preference and the training. Then other method is the seat mounting apparatus. This allows for quick donning. Unit readily available for regular inspections. Check the cylinder gauge. Never don while vehicle is in motion. One more method is the compartment or side mounted apparatus. It is similar to seat mounted position except firefighter is standing. If mount bracket wrong height, use coat method. Donning of SCBA face series also needs some skills. We should practice the donning procedures. The most self-contained breathing apparatus face piece doned in a similar manner. Difference in style of head strap and regular location. It is essential to protect firefighters from toxic gases inhalation. Firefighters must be fitted for the face piece to be used with a particular manufacturer's self-contained breathing apparatus. Prevent anything that may interfere with proper fit and seal of face piece examples. For example, eyeglasses, braids, and sideburns. Doping procedure of self-contained breathing apparatus is equally important as donning procedures. A firefighter who used the self-contained breathing apparatus or any other person who used the self-contained breathing apparatus is fully exhausted after use of SCBA. Therefore, removing and doping of self-contained breathing apparatus is a skill which everybody should know who use the SCBA. Generally, to remove SCBA, donning procedure is reversed. If awaiting another assignment, remove face piece. Allow normal breathing, conserve air. Do not wear the mask without air flowing into it. Regulator or face piece must not be contaminated. After assignment complete, report to rehabilitation. A self-contained breathing apparatus operation emergency procedure is also equally important. A firefighter must be proficient in safe use of SCBA. Donning and doping procedures, limitations of SCBA unit, individual limitations, and awareness about symptoms of heat stress. How to operate a self-contained breathing apparatus in a hostile environment? There are certain rules. The general rules for operating in a hostile environment are: first of all, we should check in with accountability officer when entering or exiting. Remain low, check the environment and the conditions. Never remove the face piece, maintain an awareness of location. Check for outside openings. Maintain direct contact with other team members. Never enter a hostile environment alone. Emergency procedures exist to assist a firefighter in safe escape from hazard. Remain calm, rely on training and the knowledge. Never remove the face piece of self-contained breathing apparatus. Standard emergency check procedure is always stressed. The maintenance is important aspect of self-contained breathing apparatus. The daily maintenance include SCBA must be inspected daily as per prescribed checklist based on original manufacturer's manual and guidelines. If used during emergency scene or training exercise, it should be serviced in same manner. Monthly maintenance in SCBA check contains all elements of the daily checks. In monthly maintenance, aid several checks of mechanics of systems. And also in monthly maintenance, aid irregularities noted and repaired or pull SCBA from the service. Annual and biannual maintenance, we follow the manufacturers require different functional tests of SCBA units. In annual and biannual maintenance, different types of functional tests of self-contained breathing apparatus are performed as per manufacturer's requirement. Only manufacturers authorized or trained service personnel shall conduct these tests. Firefighters should refer to the instructions for the self-contained breathing apparatus unit used. There are some basic personal protective equipment requirement for firefighting. Most important is the helmet. See in the right side figure, it protects the head from the impact, penetration and hot water. Then there is a hood, protect the portion of the firefighter's face, ears, neck knot covered by the helmet or the coat. And there is a coat pant, it protects trunk, limbs against cuts, abrasions and burn injuries resulting from radiant heat and provide limited protection from corrosive liquids. The gloves protect the hands from cuts, wounds and burn injury. Then shield and safety glasses protect eyes from flying objects and dust. For head protections, see figure 3A in the right side. The helmet comes in an array of models and styles. Helmets must be used in accordance with manufacturer's recommendations. The protective hood refers the figure on the right hand side, the interface element of the protective assemble that provide limited protection to the coat, helmet, SCBA face piece interface area. And there are different types of eye protections. See the figure on right hand side. The face shield will only provide limited eye protection. Goggles or the safety glasses should be used when there is an increased exposure of flying particles. For the head protections, there is a flame retardant neck and the cover chin on the left hand side corner figure. Then fold down eye protection and the helmet adjustment are shown in the different type of helmets. And there is a hide cover, reflecting strips and eye protection goggles are shown in another helmet. The coat and pant protect the trunk and limbs against cuts, abrasions and burn injuries resulting from radiant heat and provide limited protection from corrosive liquids. The element of the protective assembles provide protection to the upper torso and arms, excluding the hands and head. See right hand side figures where the coat and pant are protecting trunk and the limbs. The trunks and limbs protection is given by coat and pant is manufactured by specified materials. Its main function is to provide protection against direct flame and heat without losing its physical integrity and breaking open. It must provide exceptional cut, tear, flame and puncture resistance and water repellency. Material for trunk and limb protection coat and pant suit is PBI, Nomex. Aluminized PBI is used for refinery fire and aircraft rescue, whereas Nomex is a very popular material nowadays for its durability and reliability. The middle and the moisture barrier of a coat is a breathable barrier that is resistant to water, body fluid and common liquid. The moisture barrier must be waterproof and highly breathable so that perspiration vapors and heat trapped inside the turnout can be quickly released without permitting reserve entry of moisture and bloodborne pathogens. Cross-Tech and Gore-Tex is the popular material. Look the figure at right hand side. There is inner barrier, middle barrier, the outer barrier. Inner are the thermal barrier is the innermost layer, insulates against conductive radiant and convective heat. Liner system account for 70% of the thermal protection of your turnout. The insulation, comfort and moisture management are the critical function of the thermal liner. Woven face cloth quilted to a batting of insulation. All three layers must be worn to achieve adequate protection to reduce injuries, reduce heat stress to the body, protect against blood, body, fluid and some hazardous materials, protect head, eyes, ears, neck, upper and torso, hands and feet properly. There is limitations of structure gears as heat is built up, it is heavier and bulky than observant, the melt at 1300 degrees centigrade, stains are there, the bees are attracted to yellow color. Like every personal protective equipment, the inspection of structure gear is also important. In routine inspections, and there is a periodic inspections. In routine inspections, we shall be checking. Inspection of structure gears are equally important as for normal equipment. In routine inspections, soiling, contamination, physical damage and damaged trim, damaged closures and hardware are inspected. If there is any defect in like damaged trim or damaged, then the equipment is taken out of the service. In periodic inspection, as per manufacturer's recommendations, we should check fit moisture barrier, a seam sealing integrity and coat paint overlap. Seam integrity including broken or missing stitches. We also check material integrity for loss of strength due to ultraviolet or chemical exposures. Loss or shifting of thermal liner material is also possible. We also check wristlet integrity and the functionality. The reflective trim and velcro integrity and functionality is also checked. We should also check label integrity and legibility. We also check liner attachment and the system. Closure system functionality should also be checked periodically. Every equipment needs a training for developing appropriate skill. Barely knowledge of the equipment will not enable a person for using the personal protective equipment. Therefore, training is more important part of using the personal protective equipment. Therefore, management feel there is a training requirement for each employee. Each employee who is required to use PPE must be trained to know when PPE is necessary, what PPE is necessary, how to properly put on, take off and adjust and wear the personal protective equipment, the limitations of the particular PPE, then proper care, maintenance, useful life and disposal of PPE. Employees must demonstrate an understanding of the training and the ability to use PPE properly before being allowed to perform work requiring the use of personal protective equipment. Training should be documented through a written certification to verify that each employee has received and understood the training requirement. Both employer and employees are responsible for proper training. Employer is supposed to assess the workplace for hazard. He should use engineering and administrative controls to eliminate or reduce hazards before using PPE. Employees should select and provide appropriate PPE at employees to protect them from hazards that cannot be eliminated. Employers must inform employee for necessity of PPE. Employer must train employees how to use and care for their personal protective equipment, and he requires that employee to wear, select personal protective equipment in the workplace. This means that employer has several obligations towards the employee for ensuring he is using the personal protective equipment. Now, employee is also having certain responsibilities pertaining to personal protective equipment. Employee comply with the standards, rules and the regulations. He use personal protective equipment provided or as directed for their protection. He should report unsafe and healthful working conditions. Employee shall not accept risk or injury. Employee must use PPE in accordance with training, instructions and the procedures. He should inspect personal protective equipment for wear and tear and other damage before use. To summarize, self-contained breathing apparatus unit is to a firefighter as a weapon is to a soldier. No substitute is for proper self-contained breathing apparatus training. Continuous practice and training is mandatory for firefighters through fire drills or regular drills as deemed fit. Now, prevent failures, thoroughly inspect and test self-contained breathing apparatus functions as often as possible. Apart from regular maintenance, periodical maintenance, regular inspection and periodical inspections of whatever being. Whenever there is an opportunity, then we should inspect self-contained breathing apparatus and other personal protective equipment as often as possible. In addition to SCBA, other PPE permanently used for firefighting are helmet, protective hood, eye protection, face shield, goggles or safety glasses, hand gloves, coat and pant, safety shoes, etc. Injuries and illness may result from contact with the chemical, radiological, physical, electrical, mechanical or other hazards during firefightings. Using personal protective equipment properly, firefighters may avoid injury. And the last is the proper care of the PPE is necessary to provide effective protection. Thank you. Namaskar. I am sure you enjoyed the class. On this slide, we are giving some references for further studies and the clarifications if any.